Yeah, and then you just hit record, and it kind of goes. Yeah, I first got the idea to do this because I listened to like Lex Friedman's podcast and a bit of Joe Rogan, mostly just the MMA guys from Joe Rogan. I don't listen to too many of the comedians or whatever, but it's good. The idea was just to like get people to come and train. Unfortunately, everybody's all banged up today, so no training. But yeah, usually I find after training, you get some good insights, or a lot of the times when I train with people, I realize like I don't know the full training history of a lot of people. So like yourself, young Johnny, like, we've trained for a number of years together over at PTT, but yeah, I guess you never really get the opportunity as much on the mats to sit down with, unless it's like an open mat and you're taking a break, to be like, hey, like, where did you start? Where did you train? Stuff like, in passing. And I know for sure you're OG. You've been training for a long time, right? So it'd be great to get your story of when you started and where you started. Like why you started. Usually, most people say like, "Oh, it's the UFC or whatever." But yeah. No, but you've been training a long time, yeah.
Yeah, no. I started like late in my age. I guess back in the late '80s, I started, and I started with basically a friend of mine who I worked with back in the day introduced me to Taekwondo.
Okay.
So that originated from that, and I liked it because it was dynamic, pretty fancy moves and whatnot.
High kicks, right?
High kicks and all that. Wasn't really embraced on the full concept of it yet. I just, fell in love with the fancy techniques and whatnot.
Is that your introduction to martial arts, like in general, the first?
Well, obviously, growing up too with basic just entanglement with people, bullies and whatnot. That's how that starts.
Street justice.
Yeah, exactly. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
But then, So with that said, also watching the old Bruce Lee movies and whatnot.
Yeah.
Of course, every kid wanted to be like that.
Right.
Be able to handle themselves. But so in depth with the Taekwondo aspect, I started out at Keys Taekwondo in Vancouver.
Okay. Is that still around?
It's still around, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I, paid my dues there. Basically being a punching bag to the older senior guys, and then Master Ha took me under his wing, and he started grooming me to fight in his fin weight black belt division.
Oh.
Okay.
What weight is that?
Oh, I think it was at that time under 110.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So
it's like women and children.
Yeah. So because he had nobody in that division, right?
Sure.
He had somebody else in the higher division.
Yeah.
And since I was the young buck there, let's groom this guy. So again, not knocking him, I kind of like, how would you say, I was honored for him to, basically take me under his wing and groom me to that. But realizing that I wasn't a black belt and I wasn't even barely blue belt at that time, and he was rushing me.
Oh yeah,
because
he wanted like ulterior motives, right? Like, what can you do for the club or the pride?
Not to mention any tournaments and whatnot
sure.
that he put me in. So started from there. For me, mindset was a big aspect. Trying to see how my technique compares with these senior guys,
for sure,
senior level black belt guys, and sure, it was quite a learning curve.
Yeah.
As far as matching their speed and whatnot.
Yeah.
Obviously they've had their experiences in the ring and whatnot.
Sure.
So so again, made it to the provincials.
Oh, nice.
At that point, and then started training with another. I can't remember his name now. Master Ha in Burnaby.
Yeah.
So from there, we trained a lot and whatnot. But me being at that stage in my life where I was basically working and trying to establish a relationship with my wife now, but
yeah.
back then she's just a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And at that point, she didn't realize how much time it would take
Sure.
from our relationship to be
Yeah.
able to train especially in the provincials, to qualify and whatnot. So, there was a give and take factor.
Yeah, yeah.
you know so she would be she'd be invited to parties and whatnot, and how come you don't bring Johnny with you? And I said, well, she would say she's training. What they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
understand the concept of
Sure.
that, right?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of
A lot of pushback.
yeah, pushback. And
Well,
I can't,
she's
I can't
still
believe
here.
you're gonna train over me, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Stuff like
no.
that. So it
Oh,
was
no.
a growing curve, right?
Would you say it was tougher because you guys were, I guess you were already dating when you started training, or were you already
Yes,
training?
we were already dating.
Oh, okay, so
and
she came
it was-
first.
yeah,
Oh,
she
I
came
see.
first.
I see that.
So this happened in the middle of our relationship, and
Okay.
So at that point, she says, "I understand you going maybe 2 or 3 times a week,
Yeah.
but every day,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I can see her position, because she's the OG. She was there first before
Yeah.
you found martial arts and stuff. When did you transition to jiu-jitsu then? From
Well, it's funny as you say that. Is during that time over there, jiu-jitsu, the UFC hasn't even started yet, right?
okay,
But I guess through a friendship of another master down in California,
yeah,
my master was going to bring up what's his name, the Machado brothers.
oh, like Jean-Jacques and
yeah,
Hugen and
they
those
were
guys?
doing
Okay.
a tour of the West Coast, including up
Yeah.
north.
Okay.
So they were gonna introduce the jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
Brazilian jiu-jitsu to our
Right,
club.
because that's like late '80s, early '90s when
Yeah,
they were making
yeah.
that big push.
Yeah. So
yeah.
because I guess that history with them and what's his name, Chuck Norris,
Okay.
having influence with the Korean martial arts.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he was basically funneling him through all the
Yeah, yeah.
Korean contacts throughout the West Coast.
Okay. I guess martial arts is, a lot of people did, either karate or judo or taekwondo. Like I started, my first martial art was taekwondo as well. And we've had a couple other people on the podcast where, you tried it and this and that. But I guess like a lot of it is, I guess it's lumped together, right? You do, like Jeff does karate, and I think a lot of old, like Wes and those guys all did
Yeah.
karate. And then it's funny how everybody kind of eventually settles in to what's like jujitsu now. Like even guys like Ben, who's although he doesn't think so, like in my mind a fairly accomplished like judoka kind of guy. Like they all kind of like the end spot is kind of where's jujitsu, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. So that was the first, basically visual aspect of the jiu-jitsu, and I
Yeah.
said, and then it didn't even, it didn't register in my
So was
brain.
that did they you went to like a Machado seminar, or was that
Yeah,
the,
basically it wasn't really a seminar; it was just an introduction
Yeah.
of Brazilian jiu-jitsu at that
Oh, okay.
time.
At a
And-
taekwondo school?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and at that time, just looking at it, you're looking, what does this, is this
Yeah.
really work?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I could probably kick this guy in the head before he comes. You know what I mean? Before he comes into my.
standing up.
But at that point, I didn't really think nothing of it.
Yeah.
And so carried on with the taekwondo,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there I started dabbling into jeet kune do
Okay, yeah.
with Trevor Clarkson.
Yeah,
in Richmond.
Yeah.
So
Creative Fighters. Was it
yeah,
Creative
back
Fighters?
then it
Club
was CFG the
Okay.
start where
Yeah.
and then he started we started training at his garage
Okay.
before he had his school open,
Yeah.
right? Just a group of guys that were interested. So
Yeah.
from there I got hooked, and so I dropped the taekwondo
And went to Jeet Kune Do?
went to Jeet Kune Do, just street stuff.
Yeah.
And then he had, of course, Paul Bunak was his head instructor
Of Jeet Kune Do?
of Jeet
Okay.
Kune Do. He came down, did some seminars, and then from there, Trevor was introduced to Megaton.
Right.
Right?
Wellington Diaz.
Yeah. So from there, they established a relationship, and
Okay.
then there goes the jiu-jitsu aspect. And then
Yeah.
when he brought in Megaton for some seminars or
Yeah.
whatnot, we got to do a lot of privates in the garage.
Cool.
And
So
that's-
Megaton would train in the garage?
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
And he was
That's
like
awesome.
hardcore.
Yeah.
He would they would crank up the heat in summertime, close all the doors. You know, this is how we train in Brazil, right? And I'm going, really? It's because I'm going to pass out soon.
Yeah.
Because I can't breathe.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he immersed us into that type of pressure and
that's cool to think of Megaton training in somebody's garage, because he's a pretty well-known figure in the jiu-jitsu community.
Well,
right?
you know, again, it's his way of at that time making extra money for him as well. So within the seminars, he would do privates and
that's cool. I'm really glad we got to talk, because you know, the fact that you got to train in a garage with Megaton with the heat on it, that's just it's like fable like. It's like you hear stories about that, so just to talk to you about it, someone who was actually there to participate, it's kind of I mean, in terms of like health and safety standards, it's probably horrible, but it's cool, right?
Like it was like the old school way of training. It, you know, we had Clarkson there as well, but Tim Shears was a big influence as well. With my jiu-jitsu as well. So it was a cool experience from there.
I can't. It's just hard to imagine training with Megaton in a garage as he's probably killing you.
Oh, he's like, I know he's changed a lot, but back then it was hardcore.
Yeah.
Like for a guy his size to be able to take big guys, like we had guys training like 250, 240 and whatnot. He had no problem.
Yeah.
In basically just bending them in places where you know they weren't used to, or getting tapped out or choked out. But then that for me, I started, okay, this is it for me. Right?
So at that point, you started with Taekwondo, which you had that small kind of glimpse of jiu-jitsu at first.
At first, but and then never registered really,
right? Because it was
later
just a little thing. Then you did Jeet Kune Do for a while.
Yeah.
And then when at CFG, when they started introducing jiu-jitsu more fully, then that's kind of when you kind of picked sides and like decided to. What about it do you think? I mean, hitting stuff is cool, like pads and stuff. There's a very satisfying feeling, or even hitting the bags like so. But I think hitting mitts and pads is cool. But what do you feel like it was? Was it because? Do you think it's because you had like exposure to such a high level guy so early on, like Megaton? Like watching Megaton roll or train as your first exposure is kind of different than, you know, if you came to like my beginner's class. It's a very different thing, right? Like
it was, but luckily, you know, again, Trevor was like exposing us to jiu-jitsu first, right? Like what to expect,
right
with Megaton, right?
Yeah.
So we weren't so, you know, I think if somebody was just fresh and just came into that scene there and got exposed to that, would probably say, this is not for me. There's no way, because there's a lot of do's and don'ts and and high impact submissions and whatnot.
Yeah, but I mean, even just seeing, like, because in that of that generation, it would be almost the equivalent to like if someone's starting today and they were rolling in a garage with like a world champion. Like, you're just, I don't know who's a good example, but like you start out and your first exposure to it legit is like you're rolling with in a garage with like Gordon Ryan or something like that. It'd be like, oh, like you see it very high level very, very quickly. Because nowadays, like guys like Megaton or people of that equivalent caliber is not as accessible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like he's probably not training in any garages anymore.
No.
Right? And like I think the sport has grown large enough so, you know, it's not like you can go to the NBA and play some one-on-one with Michael Jordan. Like, that was never an option. But in jiu-jitsu world, like it still kind of is. Like, if you pay enough money, you can get a private with with Gordon Ryan or John Danaher or something like that. So, but to see that, like, it's a different time back then when you started. Hey, like, just completely.
Yeah, no, it was like eye-opening, and it wasn't really out there yet. You know? And then trained with him for about 3 years with Trevor, of course. And then from there, my kids. I had kids, so that really.
Did you take a break from?
I did. I tried to keep up with the training. When I had my first kid, but then when the second kid came, that was tough. And basically,
that's why I only have one kid.
Exactly. And then basically dwindled down to maybe 4,
Yeah.
3, and then 2, and then the kids started growing up. And
Yeah.
of course, they had their extracurricular activities, soccer, hockey, and whatnot. And then I just couldn't juggle everything, right?
Yeah, they were never interested in doing jujitsu.
Well,
or anything.
that's funny you should say that, is because I used to bring them down to the club when
Sure.
they were like when they could walk,
Yeah.
maybe 6 or 4 or 5
Yeah.
at that time, and I'd make them sit in the corner,
Yeah.
and we would train, and then I had all my gear in my bag, so they'd put it on, and
That's cool.
they'd go at it at each other, and and then people would watch. Hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it was funny.
Child fights.
And from there, I tried to get him into jiu-jitsu, but then wasn't really their thing.
Yeah.
And then after that, I tried to get him to judo
Yeah.
because my wife's uncle is a judoga
Oh,
instructor
okay.
out in Burnaby,
Cool. Okay.
Sensei Mukai.
Oh.
So, he ran a class, and I put them in that for a while.
Yeah.
And it was very strict, how.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
old-
Judo's.
judos
We
of
talked
the
about
old
this
days.
before too, where judo is much more official. Or it's very Japanese, right? Like
Yeah.
they're very,
Yeah, they have their set ways and the
Yeah.
old school ways.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so the boys went to that for about, I don't know, lasted for 6 months, and then after that, no. Ain't
judo's
going-
hard though, man.
Ain't going, Dad. No. And then there's even days when my younger one would cry because he wouldn't want to go. He goes, "No, I can't do it no more, Dad."
Oh, poor guy.
I would say, "Oh, Sensei Mukai's at the door waiting waiting for you guys to jump into his car and go to class." And maybe they said no.
Oh,
So
that's too bad.
again, wife said, "Okay, you can't push them.
Yeah.
Eventually, if they want to fall
Of
back
course,
to it,
yeah.
they will. And
Yeah.
but until then, let them do what they want to do."
Yeah.
Yeah, so they
yeah,
stuck-
judo's tough, man. I don't want to do judo.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
like-
it is tough. I had some training sessions with some judogi guys back in the day.
yeah, yeah,
And it's wow.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's like training with a fireball. It
Yeah.
just hurts.
explosive, and
Yeah.
back then those tatami mats weren't as soft as what
Yeah.
they used to, what they are now. It's like frozen, right?
Yeah.
So you would feel it when you hit the ground.
Yeah. When did you so you took some time off when you had your kids, kind of like maybe even like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or maybe even both feet out? for a
No,
while?
I took a 10-year hiatus.
10 years?
Yeah,
Holy smokes.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
And then
What was the catalyst for you to come back? Was it just the kids were old enough, or
I had more free time now with
Yeah.
the kids being older.
Yeah.
Didn't really like running, and
running sucks?
running, and so wife said, "Oh, yeah, why don't you get back into it?" Right?
Oh, that's
And I
that's
said,
interesting
"Oh,
that it comes full
yeah."
circle, where she was at first very not pro young Johnny training, and
Because
now
I guess I was getting on her nerves,
Oh.
do this, do that, and
Yeah.
all this stuff. So
it's either that or you just getting fat, and she's like, yeah, you
That
gotta,
too.
you gotta get
that too, and so I hit up Tim
Okay,
Shears
yeah.
and see where he was at.
And what year was this? Would you
Oh
say?
man, what
Like when did you pull the plug, and when did you decide to come back? I guess is it.
I pulled the plug in the early 90s, probably, right? And then say 2013 or 14,
Oh,
I
okay.
came back.
Because that's when I met up with Evan in I want to say 2013 or 2014.
Okay.
Back at the when PTT Richmond was still on number 2 road in Westminster. That's when I first kind of popped in. I think it's 2013.
Yeah.
2013, 2014, sometime around there.
Yeah, so I guess maybe after that is when Tim at that time wasn't really training as much. Because
Yeah, I think
he was going through a stage with his kids now
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, okay.
And then he goes, "Yeah, you're welcome to come out to the Tsawwassen location."
Right. Yeah, because it was Inhabit at the time.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah.
Great location
Yeah.
there. It was huge. So I went there for a little bit, and because I lived in Richmond.
Yeah,
he
didn't
says,
make
"Why don't
sense,
you
right.
check out the PTT?"
Oh, okay. So he referred you to Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So from there, I was actually trying different places, to see where I fit.
Yeah.
and I just like the vibe there.
Did you I guess you when you came back you reached out to Tim, but did you ever consider going to, I don't know what I don't think at that point it was CFG. I think it was Premier, but
it was Premier too.
Yeah.
You know what? Not to no disrespect to Trevor, but yeah, there was some issues
Sure.
there that I just didn't want to get into.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay. So Tim, because he had left Gracie Baja by that time, and he
Yeah.
was doing the Pacific Top Team, and
Yeah.
so you started at Tawasin, and then eventually transit. Were we in the Bridgeport location when you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when I
Yeah.
started getting immersed with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Bridgeport
yeah.
location.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, from there that's when I just started and
Yeah, that was the
got the
comeback,
bug.
right? Yeah,
Got the bug.
Well, it's great because you were for those people that don't know, you did a lot for the club, and I remember you were always helping clean up and just like it showed you were a good example, and that's why I referred to you as young Johnny. People don't get what I mean by that, but you were always like a very model. Like when you get like the young kid at the gym who's just like, oh, I'll do anything for the club because I'm 15 and this is like the greatest thing ever. So I say that because like it's a compliment that young Johnny he's that guy. He's always just in and keen, and they're like, wow, you mean like every time I say young Johnny, they're like, who's young Johnny? You old Johnny? Like I'm like no, like. But yeah, that's why I refer to you as young Johnny. If I don't know if I ever told you that, but yeah, you did a lot for the club, and it was really really good, like a permanent fixture at the location, right?
Yeah, no, it was like anything I can do to help out.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. But you know how it's like. Usually, you have that young preteen kid
Yeah.
who's like,
Oh, gung ho.
yeah.
and
But it
whatnot,
was Johnny, so it's like, hey, it's like that young kid, but it's young Johnny.
No, it's I have a certain degree of cleanliness that we
Oh
have to
yeah,
go by
you
with
got a
club.
hygiene is.
I don't want
you know.
anything running rampant in the club.
No, you know what?
anybody
I want to
catching.
say like in my time training across, I've never gotten anything. No ringworm, no staph. Knock on wood. But
Yeah, same here.
yeah, I don't think we had too many cases at PTT Richmond at that location. I don't know what it's like now, but I'm sure it's fine. Looks like a clean facility. But it's important, man, because like if you get sidelined with something, that's got to be the worst. Like a skin, like you're not even hurt. You just can't train because you. I mean, if you're hurt, it kind of. I think it softens the blow a little bit because you're like, well, I can't physically do it, or it actually physically hurts when I do it. But if it's something like if you're sick, you feel under the weather. But with any kind of hygienic, like if you get staph, maybe staph is different because you have some. But like ringworm has like no symptoms; it's just itchy, and you're like, oh well, because I didn't take care of myself or I didn't take a shower or something. Now I can't train for like 2-3 weeks. It's gotta suck, right?
That too, yeah, and and then if you tell people,
Yeah,
about
you're
it
the
too,
dirty
then,
guy, right? It's you're like the
they
stinky kid
kinda-
at school.
You kind of okay. Who is this guy, right? Like, is he clean or what? So
Yeah, for sure. But after you started at the Bridgeport location, like, do you feel that's when you were like you're there every day? Almost every shift,
that's
right?
I ramped up my training. I
Yeah.
started training every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes two a day.
Yeah,
Just I find the jiu-jitsu was really more technical
sure.
as opposed to with with Trevor and the boys back then. It was all pressure. And
I will say that I think you still have some of that mindset where like you train again. Another reason why you're young Johnny is because you train so hard. Like a lot of the time, you're it's like the young explosive guy. I'm like young Johnny. Like,
well, yeah. Unfortunately, that's impregnated in my brain.
right? Yeah.
But I'm realizing now that I can't. That I can't do it anymore.
The body can't.
The body
keep
can't handle.
up.
The mind says go, but the body says no.
Yeah, because you were training a lot, and then you had a couple injuries that set you back, and it's kind of like cascaded where you're just like one after the other. Like, you're injured right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
Well,
no. On the comeback.
do you
again.
think it's? Do you think it's just a size thing, or do you think it's still some of that old school like go hard training mentality that
I think it's a bit of both. A bit of both. It also depends on your training partner or whoever you're sparring with. Is
sure.
you get into that phase where okay, he's pressuring me a lot, or
Yeah.
he's strong,
Yeah.
so you want to match it kind
You
of
push
thing.
back, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that then it takes over. The
Yeah.
old school ways takes. Okay, this
Yeah.
guy wants to go. Let's go. But now I'm finally realizing, okay, I can't do that. I can't match
Sure.
strength for strength, especially if the guy's super big.
Yeah.
You know, we've got guys at advantage right now. Where I'm training now is, these young bucks, you know, they're really strong, and they've already, some of them are already immersed with judo, right? So they're very athletic.
Yeah.
So that falls into play, and
Yeah. It's hard for us smaller guys.
No, but talking about smaller guys is when I first met you,
Yeah.
I thought, okay, this guy maybe I can hang with this guy, right?
Yeah. Oh, you absolutely can.
But that opened my eyes, and I'm going, oh my God, this guy just destroyed me, right? And
it's not true.
Not even with no effort, right? So then from there, I started watching and started to learn from you, and
Oh, so thank you.
got to know you as well. And I to this day, I'm still trying to, immerse my game like you
Yeah, I mean,
on how you take these.
it's a circumstance thing, right? Like much like I'm short, I'm pretty thin, and I'm not very strong. I'm actually, for a small person, I'm actually not very fast. So usually small guys are like most people my size that I get. They're quick. They're like
Quick, yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm slow or if maybe I'm slow because I'm also lazy. Like I don't like to move fast.
I think it's
personally.
more for you is like that timing. You've got that down pat. It's
Yeah.
just you know when to move.
Sure.
And your
Yeah, I'm
guard
pretty lazy,
retention.
so I don't like moving fast unless I really it's like a necessity. But yeah, well, thank you. But yeah, yeah. So I think it's interesting because your style is very different from mine. Like you're much more explosive than I am. You definitely have a lot more grit and like grind. Like you'll keep on with the pressure. And again, maybe it's because I'm lazy. If I pressure into something and it's not working, I'm quick to give up. If that makes any sense, I'm like whatever.
Yeah.
This is not worth my.
Yeah, you're
Very
energy. And I'm not gonna-
non-committal. Very
no.
non-committal. Don't
No,
tell Jen.
that's for my concept now is that's what I have to keep in mind. Do I keep pressuring or waste my energy on this,
Yeah.
or move on to another option?
Like more of a more volume approach, right? So, I think with guys like us, you can't really keep knocking on the same door or knocking harder. You just might have to walk the whole block and knock on every single door, or sometimes come back repeatedly. Like cycle through. That's usually what I think of. Like
That's
I go through the number of options I have, and I try not to exhaust them. But if I do exhaust them, then I'll repeat other options. It's kind of like a slow jog approach.
Yeah. No, that's a good way of thinking.
Yeah, I think there's good longevity, and also if there's lots of people that are just better than me, so I think I make a mental kind of note. Like I can tell pretty quickly when we exchange like movements. I'm like, this guy, you get a pretty good calculation of like attributes wise, like is he faster, stronger, more dexterous, more flexible, whatever, and then also. Based on like people's movements, you can also I'm starting to now get a better gauge of like how their kind of jujitsu IQ is. So if this guy's got good jujitsu, like better jujitsu than mine, which a lot of people do, I try to steer my training towards like what can I selfishly, like how can this benefit me, right? So if guys are like, and I think if you do it that way, you can get a lot out of everybody. So if this guy's like almost like giving people their best position. So if this guy's all about pressure, I'm like, yeah, let's see how well I do. And if you do well, great. If you don't, then it's a good opportunity to like
learn
you'll get a lot out of them. Like that, right?
Yeah, that's a good way of seeing it. No, it's I'm the same way too. But but sometimes that old ways always kicks back, and
the mammalian brain right there. How many days are you training? Well, I guess you're a little sidelined for now, but are you able to train pretty regularly these days?
Well, now like I injured myself in the summer.
Yeah.
That's previous injury was hamstring injury, and then from there, This one was really bad because usually I can train through it,
Yeah,
through the injuries,
yeah,
which
right.
I normally do. This one, I could even barely walk.
Right.
So when I took a step, I
that's
could
not
really
good.
feel it.
Yeah.
So I tried to do stretching and whatnot, and then I started weightlifting
Yeah.
in my garage. Set up the garage as a a little
Yeah.
gym there with the bench and whatnot and weights, and sure enough, I guess I went meathead lifting, trying to lift as much as I could, and blew out my back. So
Oh no.
there goes another injury. So
Seems like the mentality is the consistent thing across injuries in different like realms, like whether it's jujitsu or weightlifting. You just gotta be less young Johnny.
yeah,
You gotta be old.
It's still there, but yeah.
What does your wife
I'm-
say when you keep getting injured?
Oh, she just shakes her head. She knows, Okay, see, I told you.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, so yeah, from there I've been trying to really think about my game now, and hopefully, like yesterday was my first day
Okay,
back on
yeah.
the mats,
And it went okay.
so it went okay. I went a little light,
Yeah.
trying not to go full
Yeah.
board.
Have you thought about being more exclusive with training partners?
Yeah, that's a lot of Professor Ryan is always on me about that. Pick who you train with,
Yeah.
or who you roll with. Even Edwin and Jonard, they're always saying, okay, don't roll with that guy.
Yeah.
I know what's gonna happen. If he's
Sure.
gonna push back, then you're gonna push back, and then
Yeah.
one thing leads to another. Somebody's gonna get hurt. So
Yeah. I mean, because you and I are close in size, right? There's definitely there's a diminishing return. Like if somebody is like a certain percentage like heavier than me, it just becomes you can I have decent dexterity and mobility, and I think my jiu-jitsu is okay, but yeah, there's heavy. Certain people are just they're tough to move around, right? Or
Yeah.
there's a higher risk, especially. Well, even without body types, do you think, like, if you were to be more exclusive, do you like training with, if you're a small person, they're like, oh, don't train with big guys. But I don't think it's necessarily that. It's more like,
yeah,
I think right now, what you should be doing is be training with like higher skill level guys.
Yeah,
like they can be big.
that's the thing.
But they can be really good. So I think because you're a brown belt, it's not, for your own like physical longevity, it's probably better to train with only like brown belts and black belts. Not that they're all good. Like you can have some
Yeah.
guys, but maybe
No.
that's something worth exploring. Like
Yeah, no,
limit yourself to.
that's really I've come across that, and you're right. Yeah, basically that's what I've got to do, and
Yeah.
like for me, being at the gym, it's like, certain people come in off the streets to try out and whatnot. Of course, you want to be the ambassador and
Yeah, do you feel
welcoming
like
and
there's like a
whatnot.
sense of responsibility? Because you were always, I want to train with everybody, and I know you care about the club a lot. And I felt the same thing where like, oh yeah, I want to represent the club well, so I want to train with everyone, but at
Yeah.
the same time, like
Exactly.
you shouldn't train with everyone. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing too, where like you want to immerse people to coming in
Sure.
and show the beauty of
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu
yeah,
and
absolutely.
whatnot. But then you have to think in the back of your head, okay, well, I have to gauge this guy first to see how he rolls, if if it's safe and whatnot, and obviously you want to instill safeness in the way they
Yeah.
roll too, so that they don't get hurt. But,
Yeah.
I've really, that's why I'm trying to choose now.
yeah,
Even like you said, it's not necessarily not rolling with bigger guys. It's
Sure.
guys that are that
yeah,
are very skilled with their technique.
Sure.
And they're not there to hurt you.
yeah.
You know.
A different mindset, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I guess it's different to when you are at a. So when Trevor was doing it out of his garage, like way back, I'm assuming it was kind of like word of mouth, invite only.
Yeah, he was, like he said, he was trying to get enough people to show interest so that he was able to open up his school.
Oh, okay.
So
Maybe
yeah,
that's
it
different as
spread.
well.
It spread because
Yeah.
he was, at that time, he was the only guy doing Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah, right.
certified instructor,
Yeah.
and then when the jiu-jitsu came,
Sure.
obviously, you know, he was,
Do you think there's some value in that? I've seen it at clubs where they kind of, you're trying to run a business, so you kind of. I mean, I've heard of some clubs doing almost an interview before, like, let's say you want to go. I think it was one of the infighting locations. Like you actually before you sign up for a jiu-jitsu class, I think they'll interview you to see if you're a good fit, which is kind of cool. At least the idea of it, I think it's neat because you want to kind of protect your community of your club members. I guess in a sense it's a little limiting because not everybody, like not jiu-jitsu for everyone type thing.
True.
But do you think there's value in that?
Into some sense, I think there is. You're always, like you said, looking after your
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu community, your club. You know, you just don't want anybody off the streets coming in and, you know, maybe injuring your guys and whatnot,
Yeah.
you know. But like I come from the old school days, so
Yeah.
we had a lot of guys like that. And
Yeah.
there was guys
Come to see how tough they are, right?
Yeah, and there were guys that come in and challenge Trevor
Really?
during the classes, right?
That's hilarious.
And it's funny is you know, yeah, you want to challenge me, but you're gonna have to go through the rankings of my
Really? Okay.
of my guys. So there's certain guys there
Yeah.
that they would have to go through, and
Yeah.
Tim was one of them. Right?
Oh, okay.
Tim, he's
It's a bit of a mat enforcer.
oh
Hey?
yeah. There's certain level of guys that they would have to go through
Right.
in order to get to Trevor. So
That's funny.
yeah.
That's very early 90s.
Yeah, early, yeah,
early
those
90s.
early days.
The dojo storming
Yeah.
kind of mentality.
It's funny, but and some of these guys, you know, would wait, stick around, and you know, and other guys would just okay. And as they assess the class and how Trevor teaches and how
Yeah.
his guys react, and
Yeah.
you know, they would kind of say, okay, well, maybe that wasn't a good idea for me coming here. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they'd just
sure.
turn around and okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it happens as explicitly these days as in
No.
like somebody comes in and
No.
like, I'm here to fight your black belt type
No,
thing.
I've never maybe I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times back in the day, but nowadays
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of that no more.
No,
It's-
it seems
it's
like
a-
more community
yeah,
oriented,
it's
like
more of an
like
open
a lot of
community.
cross training. Everybody's there. Do
yeah,
you
no,
do you
it's-
find having at the rank of brown belt now, it's you're at the upper echelon of the tier system. Do you find more of the training partners you have, especially the lower belt ones, have something to prove against you? Like they want to test them. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that a lot where they see my belt and they think, okay, let's see how good they are.
Sure.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's I don't know if it's an ego thing, or I think
Yeah.
maybe I'm hoping most of it is just to see how they can handle.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. So but the way I roll now is I'm if I get put in a certain position where I'm vulnerable, I'm gonna tap.
Yeah.
Not like before where okay, keep going and
Yeah.
see where I can get out, but
Right.
have to be smart too, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure a lot of people who have trained with me, especially when I do visit at Advantage, because I'm not there very often. I'm pretty sure they train with me, and there's this thought going through their minds like, is this guy really a black belt?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know.
I'm just
That's-
like, dude. And
yeah,
then the guys,
so- can't yeah. It's you can see it too.
Yeah, they
in
look
their
at me. They're
eyes,
like,
you can-
"Are you
yeah,
really
for
a
me.
black belt?" And I'm
right.
like, "Well, what do you?
You know.
I guess."
So you try to soften the blow and say, hey, I'm gonna, let's just roll light first.
But
see
it's
how
an
it
internal
takes.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I can see the looks
yeah.
on some of these, especially the younger, more athletic guys that I train with. When I visit, it's like this guy he's wearing
No.
a black belt, but
No.
it doesn't look like. But do you think it could also be a generational thing where like, the new school style is maybe a little bit different as well? I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I let a lot of people down when they roll with me.
No,
They're like,
no.
"Oh, this guy's got a black
Hey.
belt." They're like, "Are you?"
To this day, a lot of people have mentioned your name, and have said, man, for a guy his size, he moves and he's got great guard retention, and he's like effortlessly, right?
By necessity,
And
because
then,
I'm always getting my guard passed.
And then, I won't name these guys, but they're pretty high up there. They have their black belts, and they say, yeah, it's frustrating when you roll with Jonathan. So
in a good way, right?
Yeah, in the mindset, kicks in. Okay, I'm gonna have to go use my strength on Jonathan now because, yeah, he's just frustrating me. I can't get to him. I can't get to that good
Just
position
be like
that I want.
It's like a fly you can't get rid of in the kitchen.
And these guys are big boys, so.
I think a lot of people. I've mentioned this before, where a lot of lightweight guys, like in the lightweight, like 160, 170, they consider themselves like small guys, but they're not small
No,
guys.
they're
Like
not.
You and I are
Yeah,
small guys.
exactly.
But I don't think you can really tell like when you're training, because two guys on the ground. I mean, unless it's like Big Mike's just crushing me, then you can definitely see there's a size discrepancy.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's less noticeable on the ground if somebody like, about my size, which is like 61, 62 kilos, is training against somebody who's 70 or even like 75 kilos. You don't notice it that much until like you stand them up, and then you see a stark difference. So I'd say like you and I are small
I'm
people.
extra small for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's It's you have to deal with it, right? And it's that's the way it is, and that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu is how you can apply that technique with being with this frame that we were blessed with, and trying to do it slap it on bigger guys and whatnot, right? So,
do you feel like as a smaller person, I've always felt that because I'm small, I don't have the strength to compete with these guys, so it makes it easier for me not to go full mashed potatoes and try to fight him, because like I remind myself like it's not gonna work.
yeah,
Like it doesn't matter how I feel about it, it's just not going to work. Like I can't out muscle like Evan. It's just not happening. It's no way, right? So it keeps me from trying that. But you're a smaller guy where you will like gut it out.
I will engage.
Yeah,
and
so-
see what the pushback is, and if I feel like I could hang with it, I will proceed with it.
It's kind of like a hand in the cookie jar thing, man. Like I don't know if that's such a
And then if not, then hey, I'm pulling guard, and let's see if you can pass my guard.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah.
Even at brown belt, I think when you roll every day, and every time you're on the mats, you're learning. You're always learning, right?
What's the main thing about the training that like you enjoy? Is it the actual physical training, or is it the community? Like it's all really good people over at Advantage. Like do you think it's the second family vibe, or do you think it's just pure training? Or
well, for me at my age now, I need the physical aspect of it.
Sure.
Just to keep me, healthy, health-wise.
Yeah.
Also, the community aspect of it. Yeah, it's like that team environment, like you need. So, can I get?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I've totally lost my train of thought now.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Do you feel like jiu-jitsu is pretty connected to your mental health these days?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's stress release.
Yeah.
And basically, it helps my mind not wander so much.
Do you prefer training during the daytime or the nighttime?
Well, right
or does
now,
it not matter?
For me right now, it's all about scheduling and trying to incorporate it within work, right?
Yeah.
Like before, I was off for a while, for almost 3 years, so I basically trained whenever I could.
Yeah.
Nooners or afternoons, but right now it's just basically when I can get in there, right?
Yeah.
But now that you say that, thinking about that, Training during the day, I think for me, I benefit from,
Yeah.
as opposed to training in the evening, because I find that when I do train in the evening and then afterwards, I'm still jacked up.
Yeah.
Like my
Okay.
mind is
Yeah,
still
yeah, yeah.
okay, thinking about the technique and whatnot, and even going to bed, it's very hard
Yeah.
to get back.
Do you think there's like I've noticed it as well, maybe because I'm in a different like phase of my life. So when I was training earlier, I would work the standard 9 to 5 or whatever, and then I would train 5 p.m. onwards, like six to whatever. And I think there's a different type of person that trains that. Whereas now, after given what my schedule is, and because I have a young child, like I train mostly during the day, like when my son is at preschool or whatever. It's like a different tribe of people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think at this point in my life, I really like training during the daytime because, like you, I don't want to be up at night thinking about it or going to bed beat up. Whereas if you get beat up during the day, or like morning's actually pretty good. Like I like 9 or 10 because then I have the rest of the day to recover.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the night, I can go to sleep and fine.
Yeah.
Do you think if I don't know what scheduling is, even now, like you look at jiu-jitsu, most classes are in the evening, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still kind of catered towards more the 9 to 5 Monday
Yeah.
to Friday person. Do you think in your youth, when you first had kids, if there was more like daytime training opportunities, do you think that would have helped you not have to pull the plug at all for like?
Yeah, I think that would have helped a lot. I probably would have stuck to it a little longer.
Yeah.
Depending on like my boys' schedule with school and their activities and whatnot. Yeah, I that would have been probably
Interesting to think about, right?
I wouldn't have. Yeah, yeah. Even going maybe 2 or 3 times a week.
Well,
you know?
even if you look at, I'm not exactly sure what the advantage schedule looks like, but I would be willing to bet that the majority of their percentage of hours open for classes, it's probably more in the evening than it is in the morning,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There is a new schedule now that they brought back the early morning classes.
Oh, okay, like,
in the
yeah.
morning, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think it starts at, is it 6 or no 7? 7
Okay,
in the morning.
that's not bad.
Yeah. So
But then you get the morning crowd of the people that go to work, and I feel like the people that train before going to work are hardworking, and the people who are still willing to train after work are also hardworking. So guys like myself who train like midday, it's like the laziest time to train because obviously I don't have a real job where I have to actually do anything.
Well, you're blessed with that.
Yeah,
That
it's like that's what I mean by there's like different types of people that
Yeah.
train at different times, right?
No.
Like the lunchtime noon
Yeah.
hour crew is always
Yeah.
like very
Or
laid
there's also
back.
those types where, okay, if I don't go now, I'm not going to go later. So you know what
Yeah.
I mean? That mindset. Okay, let's just go.
Do you do any of the morning stuff?
I haven't. I have not, because I'm up early and
Yeah.
I'm usually out the door by 5:30.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
That
you
is
have
early.
to be on site or
Yeah,
what
yeah.
drive to the site. Sometimes it's far away.
5:30. That's early.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they used to run that like 6 a.m. I think Dan Pozo would do it.
Yeah,
PTT.
over at
at
when
PTT.
we
I
used-
wonder,
yeah, that's right.
is he back? Have you seen him recently?
He comes and goes.
Nice.
He's juggling business
Mm-hmm.
and a job, and then I think they just bought a place by the water there and
Oh,
they're
nice.
renovated. So
Yeah.
he comes in once in a while.
It's nice. Do you feel like because you're at Advantage regularly, how percentage wise, how much of like the old PTT crew do you feel like made that transition over?
Well,
Because I feel location wise, you went from the northeast corner to the southwest corner.
yeah,
which
yeah.
is it's it's
in hindsight, yeah, I think I see the regulars once in a while.
yeah
Right, but there are a few people that have basically I don't see no more
Yeah,
from from our club, right?
That's too
But
bad.
yeah, you know. But again, there's some guys who originated with us that quit and then have come back.
Yeah, yeah,
You
that's
know,
interesting
that's
as well,
cool
right?
too, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to see them.
Yeah.
Like what's his name? Remember Paul Viet?
Oh yeah, yeah. Big Paul, is he
Big
back?
Paul. Yeah, no, he actually was across the street with his. I guess he was doing something across the street, or
Okay.
he was saying, and he dropped by and he
Yeah.
saw me and he goes, "Oh man, you're
Yeah.
still coming?" And I
Yeah.
go, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, yeah.
He
That's
goes,
great.
"Yeah, me and the Jonathan."
Yeah, yeah.
They said we're planning on making a comeback. And I
Oh,
said, "Well,
nice.
you guys are more than welcome anytime."
Yeah.
Right?
I haven't talked to John in a while. I reached out to Paul like long ago before we moved. It's just I think he wasn't available, but yeah, I find like it's nice to reach out and touch base with there's a lot of like what I've been doing recently is like if I think of somebody that I used to enjoy training with at PTT Richmond and I haven't spoken to them or talked to them, I try to reach out and ask them how they're doing. And yeah, it's some I was surprised that like not a lot of them are just like not doing, they're just not training.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that, you know, obviously I can try to offer them a spot at our little club, just the casual. So some people have come out, like and Narat started coming out once in a while.
Yeah. He was at our place too.
Yeah, good. And do you remember Jade?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Jade came out, so it's nice. Because, I'm like, are you guys still training? They're like, not really. I think, especially for those that were kind of in Vancouver, that were coming over, or that live in Vancouver and Bridgeport, Night Street is pretty close, right?
Just
But
over
I
the
think
bridge.
it's a bigger ask for you to drive through
Yeah.
Richmond, because putting your
It's-
life at risk driving
well,
through Richmond.
like Professor Ryan and I were talking where, you know, when we had the Bridgeport location, it would take him almost half an hour to get to open up the gym, right? You know,
Yeah.
and I get it now because, you know, for me, coming over from the Seefson area over to that part, you know, I can't believe how much traffic there is, and
Yeah,
it takes you that long to get there.
Yeah, Richmond's not large, but I mean, the traffic can be taxing sometimes. I guess.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. Hey, you almost need to. I didn't mind the Bridgeport location. Like, it was easier to get to for me from here. Obviously, Stevenson's okay too.
Yeah.
It feels longer. I think because you're going through like the city, kind of. I don't know. It's just like seems more out there. But I mean, do you think they're gonna stay at that location for a while, or is
I think they are
big enough to get a bigger space?
Although I know membership is ramping up.
Good.
So
yeah.
I don't know, you know, what their plans are. I know the Muay Thai aspect of it is ramping up as well.
Yeah.
So which is good, right? I know they, you know, took a big hit when COVID happened.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm glad to see that it's one of the clubs that have stayed and.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I know. I mean, like the original PTT kind of shut down because of. Like,
Yeah.
I think largely due to COVID, because
Yeah.
I think prior to that, it was just fine. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's
there
really
was-
nice to see that Evan has some support with Ryan and Brock, and like, just it's like 3 people doing it instead of
Yeah.
like just by himself. Because
Yeah.
I remember seeing him quite stressed out with a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Eden and I did help out at the club, but at the end of the day, it's his club, and like the responsibility is kind of on him. So it seems like the last time I spoke to Ev, he seems like much more
Oh yeah.
like laid back.
Oh
and,
yeah. We've had that conversation too, where I've noticed how you can just tell by his face expression that
Yeah.
the stress has been lifted.
He's
off of
enjoying
him.
it
Yeah.
more, right?
Yeah.
I think because I remember like back at the old location, it was stressful at times, right? I mean, between running all the classes and the kids and you know, everything like that, it was tough. But it's good. Yeah, I'll try to when he's back. I might see if I can pop in Saturday. He said he teaches Saturday as well.
Kids class.
Kids class.
Yeah. I think
Is it a class on Saturday? or
there's
is
a
it
class on
open mat,
Saturday.
or-
Yeah, I think 11.
I think
15,
I've visited
something like that.
before. Yeah.
Usually Paulo teaches that class,
Yeah. I think I've been to that one, but
Yeah.
it's
and then there's an open mat after.
yeah. Usually, I think I might see if I can stop in for that.
Yeah. No. It's
Just to visit and see. disappoint some more people with my black belt or lack of black belt
Yeah,
skills.
right.
It's true, man. They look at
No.
you, they're like,
No,
"Is this guy really a black belt?" Like,
I don't know. I don't know.
holy smokes.
I don't know how you see it, but it's totally different because that's not from what people
Just
are,
letting people
like it.
down,
They do-
left, right,
Who,
center.
who was that guy that I just?
Well, that's the thing
And I'd
because I'm
say-
not there often.
and
They're
I'd say,
like,
why?
Who is this
Why?
guy?
He goes, I can't believe how strong and how like great base and so much technique. And I said,
Just
yeah,
pumping
well,
me up, young
there
Johnny.
you go.
Yeah, I like it's a nice space too because the sunlight is really nice,
Oh,
but sometimes it's also really bad because I've been blinded
Yeah.
more than once.
And
where
there's
you're just
certain parts where the sun shines, and
Yeah.
a certain part of the mats it gets extremely hot.
yeah, but in
So-
the summertime when you guys can open the
Yeah,
the bay doors,
yeah,
it's pretty
just
cool.
open breeze and whatnot.
Yeah.
No, it's a good location. Like
The parking is a little bit
yeah, gotta know where to park.
yeah. What are the best places to park? I know they have a couple spots
Couple,
in the back.
I think that there's 6 spots in the back there, but there's other spots like out in the front, of course, on the street, and then there's that one parking area where you know how you come to that
just
stop
south
sign.
of yeah. Is it just straight
it's
through?
Two Road and
okay. London.
London.
Yeah, yeah.
If you go straight through,
Oh, you can park there.
there.
Oh, can you?
as
Okay.
well?
Oh, I
right?
didn't know that.
And then if you go, and if that's all full,
Yeah.
You make a right at the 3-way stop towards the river.
Okay.
And there's a little area there.
Like where's the gravel pit? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's
I
a
didn't know you could
and
park
then
in
you
those
could just
places.
walk through. There's a path
Yeah.
over the bridge.
But then you got to walk past the bakery, which is kind of.
yeah.
I always get Jen
Yeah,
an apple Danish or strudel every time I
We
go.
always
train.
get certain smells during.
Oh
the
yeah, it
lunar,
must be
right?
bad.
Just
right?
like at the old Bridgeport.
yeah,
location,
actually,
right?
no, we got stinky fish at
Yeah,
the old
but that
Bridgeport.
there was that Chinese food place.
Oh yeah,
restaurant,
yeah,
right?
the
You could-
Bridgeport,
I know.
Richport or Bridgeport. I can't
Yeah,
remember. But
Dan
that,
and I would say, okay, something's cooking, and it's
Yeah.
fried rice, I think. And then he goes, that
it seems to
smells
be a
good.
consistency because at Owen's gym right now, right across, like directly across, is I guess it's the commissary kitchen for Curry Express
Yeah.
and one of the Curry Express vans. So sometimes you'll just come out and just this
You can
wonderful like curry smell just
smell.
envelops you, and you're just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like yeah, it's funny. I guess it's just one of those things.
Yeah, no, we have the same too with Ember Restaurant.
Right, they're
further
just up the road, right?
you
Yeah.
can smell when they're cooking.
Yeah. They should offer us like some kind of lunch deal or something, you know, like if you train here. It
Yeah.
helps boost the community and stuff.
No.
Well, cool, man. Thanks for coming in.
No, I
and,
appreciate you
know,
having me,
We'll
and
have to do this more often, but it's
sounds
good. I still can't get over the whole like training in the garage with Megaton. Like that's
Geez, that's it's an experience, but like I said back then, it was I didn't really think too much of it.
Yeah.
But I knew.
but that's crazy.
He's high
like to me, that's
level.
crazy.
Yeah, and then so and then he did some what is it now like seminars up at SFU
Oh, okay.
in the
cool.
combatives room where the wrestlers were.
Yeah.
So he did a big one there.
Oh,
and,
nice.
He displayed his aerial techniques. And
I think he got the name because I don't know if he was a judoka.
Yeah,
He's a judo
black
guy,
belt
right?
judo guy.
And they would say he called Megaton because he launched dudes, right?
Yeah,
Was that the?
that's I had the experience of being launched by him and totally like, oh my god. Like I'm in the air. What do I do? Like, did he just do
die.
that to me, right?
Just die.
But still, he was still being nice,
That guy was still competing. I remember I'd see him at
he's
like
still,
the Pan and the Worlds. Like he always competes in adult too.
Yeah.
He never because
Yeah.
he's got to be in his.
He's probably could be the same age as me.
Yeah, he's up there in years.
55,
Right? Yeah,
56.
but he
around
never.
there.
I remember he always at the Pan Ams. The
Yeah.
Pan Ams, he'd always just be in the black belt adult.
adult
category.
No, that's
So,
good on
good-
him.
yeah, it's
I
good.
know.
I mean,
And he's
win or
in great
lose.
shape.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
no problem. We'll have to
appreciate
get
this.
when you're less banged up and I'm less lazy. We'll have to get on the mats again soon. All right, thanks, Johnny.
All right, thank you.
Johnny.
All right.